Learn more and do more. That's risk assessment simplified. That's risk assessment 101. My approach to articulating risk and when I work with students and clients is to really try to have folks think about risk within a socio-technical system. And I know that a lot of folks that I speak to do not like that phrase socio-technical system because it gets a little, in their minds, it gets a little bit used improperly. But I still like the phrase socio-technical system, and I think we need to operationalize that a little bit more firmly. So let me just say that up front. So when I think about risk, I think about one thing and one thing only, and that's learning more. When we have a risk that we've identified, I'm not really sure what comes out of risk prioritization, risk assessment, and the risk assessment matrices that some people adhere to and prescribe to and use. As long as it's a tool that gets you to learn more, I think that's a really important aspect of risk, no matter what the hazard happens to be and no matter what the context happens to be. Learn more and do more. I really think the vocabulary of the safety profession probably should evolve and change a little bit, Danny. I think that I'm not a big fan of the word control. I'm not sure how much we really control things, and it's more of the hierarchy of, it's a hierarchy of ideas in my mind. And it should be a way that we could be, and our organizations can be innovative and creative, and think about risk and problem solving in a different way. I don't like that people order the hierarchy. I think, where did that come from? And, how did that evolve? And I think there's a lot of, because we really can't find a really good starting point for the hierarchy of controls. And I think there's a lot of, how can I put it? A lot of just kind of misconceptions about the historical perspective of a hierarchy of controls. And do we solve occupational health problems differently than we solve occupational safety problems? And so, I think that this kind of ranked order tends to be overplayed a little bit. And again, that's where I think if we can call these just, maybe it's and I'm not sure I like the word hierarchy. It's just kind of like occupational health and safety problem solving and brainstorming. The profession is very busy. Safety professionals are very busy, and it really seems when we're talking to professionals out in the field that they're continually solving problems, going on to the next problem. And there's not a lot of time spent in evaluation. So are we really evaluating whether or not the intervention that we've chosen to hopefully reduce risk is working? Is it working properly? Do people like it? Are they using it properly? Has it created any new hazards or risks? Is there anything unforeseen, both short-term and long-term? And so we kind of implement something, and then we go on to the next issue and problem. And I think that time spent in evaluation would be highly valuable for the profession. The mental health hazards and the psychosocial issues with regards to the context of work, I think are really changing the profession and forcing the profession to think differently about how it goes about learning and solving those problems, but also how that's generalizable to more traditional occupational health and safety hazards as well too. I think that I hope the profession is becoming more empathetic towards workers. I think that I've been trying to, so at my university, I've been trying to get my students to think about ethnography as a key method of field research and how things happen at the sharp end, and what workers are experiencing with regards to the whole socio-technical system, including specific controls and how controls interact with that particular system. And so learning about ethnography, I think, is something that all safety professionals should be thinking about. And when they get into, and I hope they do, I hope they get into ethnography, when they get into that, they'll find that it's really about just simply listening and learning and reflecting on what's going on within a particular setting, in this case, the workplace setting. We talk a lot about things, like organizational resilience and those types of things, but it's the people that go into that organizational resilience, and that is so crucial at the sharp end to inform the blunt end. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting model that Art of Work, spurred. Gosh, so many iterations of that model and people thinking about it. And the one component really is the user experience, or what we're borrowing the user experience and trying to adapt it into work, and that kind of the whole notion of work-centered design. And really, again, with empathy and understanding and listening, seeing how the worker experiences a control, both short-term and long-term, and through day-to-day operations that are normal but also that are non-routine, and trying to collect that particular data and trying to understand, is this control really effective when we need it to be effective? And so, it's easy to say, that this control is going to work during normal and routine operations, but how often do we really have normal and routine operations? There's always something happening. People always are adapting, and so that's where really getting the work and the worker experience of a control is so crucial, and has to go into the input of that design of the control, the selection of the control, the evaluation of that control. And I think that's the power of that tool, is that it really it allows you to not just design it, but then to really assess it, to evaluate it, to have conversations with people about what's going on, and it gives you a structure by which to do that. And so it's robustness, and there's alignment of the control with the work, how adaptable the control is. And so trying to understand how adaptable the control is under normal and non-routine conditions. And then, like we were saying, that worker experience is that new aspect that we've tried to incorporate into this particular model, to understand even further how workers have to use that control.